All right, good morning, my friends. This is May 3rd, Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing well today. This is Vigor Warriors 2 again with another episode of the 1% Club, our morning talk. Hope all is well. Hope you guys are on your purpose and plan. Keep going, never give up, and you're going to get better and better and better. I'm getting close to 700 days, so I can't tell you how great this has been, and I know it's just going to continue and continue, and I just think it's phenomenal. So we'll talk about that a little bit as I talk about this topic, but the idea is that you want to try to continue to be the best person you can be, and that's the key to the whole thing. So never give up, never give in to this temptation, and even though a temptation may hit you, you can control it. You can stop it, you can move past it, and go on. So this reminds me of the, first of all, thank you to Alvin. A shout out to Alvin and Issachar, who's got a nice question for me as well. But Issachar, thank you guys for your comments, and thanks for the subscriptions, likes, comments, all those type of things. I really appreciate those. Donations are always appreciated as well. Hope you guys are hanging in there and doing well as you go along. All right, so Issachar, I think that's the name. Yes, Issachar, I think I pronounced it right. If I didn't, please forgive me. But Issachar had a great question about dreams. And let's talk about this. So the title of this one is going to be, How Do I Stop Dreaming? Because it's a really good question. We've talked about it a few times before, but I kind of want to focus on it a little bit in hopes of trying to kind of talk about this topic and seeing how we can try to handle it. Now, of course, everything that you do when you're sleeping, a lot of it is subconscious. You don't really know, obviously, because you're sleeping, what kind of memories are going to come in, what kind of ideas are going to come in. And as you can talk about this, you can talk about the fact that some of it is things that you think of, but also some of it could be from the evil one. And some people don't talk about it that way, but I'm going to talk about it that way because I do believe there's an evil one, and I think those spirits come within you. And so there's always opportunities for you to fall back. And when I was younger, this happened a lot to me when I was sleeping, and I would get a lot of different types of thoughts and dreams and ideas, and not knowing where those things came from. So I think the key is realizing you're going to have these types of situations. Now, what can you do about it? Well, obviously you don't want the temptations to override your dreams, and all of a sudden now you're sitting there and you're releasing energy during your dreams. You don't want that to happen, obviously. Now, I will say this, even though that's happening, I don't necessarily count that against your streak, because I think that's something that you can't always prevent. There's some things you can do to help your situation, and we'll talk about those in a second. But as I say this, I want to state that I'm not going to classify that into a category. Now, I haven't done that in the last, almost 700 days, but I would not count that necessarily within your streak. The main thing you want to do is when you're conscious, you want to be able to use your temptation against the evil one, and not buy into it, and not go ahead and fall for it, and then go ahead and release, and all of a sudden you're back in another bad cycle in which what you're doing is just going ahead and releasing and using bad habits and things like that. So I think as we look at this situation, we have to kind of realize that you can't control everything at night. But what you can do is kind of use a little bit of the research, use a little bit of the common sense, and just kind of realize that you have to have a lot of faith and hope as well with all those other two things. Because when I say this, I say that what you have to do is kind of set yourself up the best way possible before you go to sleep. And what I mean by that is you have to kind of put into your head your ideas of those goals and things you want. So before I go to bed, I think about money coming off a printing press. I think about my relationship and hugging the Lord and and sitting down with Christ Jesus and talking with him on a daily basis. And I also think about my six-pack of abs, and I'm visualizing all these. So I'm spending a lot of time thinking about these things before I go to bed. I pray and meditate. I try to read the Bible. I try to read something that's positive, uplifting, so that sits with me before I go to bed. They used to joke about this and call this osmosis, right? That whatever you were thinking about before you went to bed is something you would concentrate on. I can't tell if that's happening within my dreams, but I will tell you that every time I'm conscious, I go back to these goals. It's almost like a habit. Even when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm always getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Before I go back to bed, I think about these things, or I walk my dog, and 5 o'clock in the morning, I always think about these things and I go back to bed. The idea that you have to think about yourself is, what are you filling your mind up before you go to bed? Obviously, if you're thinking about these evil thoughts, there's more of a chance that that's going to happen to you while you're sleeping. Now, there's not anything you do about the evil one coming to you, but you can kind of shield yourself as much as possible. And by shielding, I mean you're putting on the shield and the armor before you go to bed with all these things you're doing. Obviously, you also don't want to eat a lot as well. I'm trying to go back a lot to my intermittent fasting between 8 at night and 12 at midnight. So I don't eat anything late at night, because when I eat it late at night, that's when I tend to have more dreams, and that's probably because of the food, digesting as well. So you want to keep yourself to the point where you're not having a lot of dreams. You're basically going ahead and at least giving yourself a shot not to release. Now, also, as time goes on, you're going to become more accustomed to these goals, and it's going to dominate your thoughts so much that this is the number one thing you're going to be thinking about when your head hits that pillow and you fall asleep. I also would take some deep breaths in and out as you're thinking about your goals. So now you're not sitting there worrying about all these other things going on. Now, you may still run into a problem, especially if you've had a lot of bad history like I did of thinking about this stuff all the time. It is hard to completely eliminate it and block it out of your mind. But what you can do is replace it with all these goals and things you want to accomplish. And that's going to be the key in solving this situation. It's going to take a little while. It doesn't happen overnight. And you're going to go ahead and fall back into patterns at different times. And you may still have these type of dreams again. But I think if you put your mind into a lifestyle of not focusing on women, focusing on men, depending on if you're a woman or a man, and you're focusing on the goals and things you want to achieve, then those other things will happen to you at the right time. So you're going to go ahead and find a partner then that you want to have, you want to lose your energy with, and you want to create a child. In my mind, that loss of energy relates directly to the formation of a new energy, right? You and your wife or your husband, depending on who you are, will have a child. But to throw your energy away on, bed sheets and all that kind of nonsense just doesn't make any sense. Now, you gotta realize I had 45 years of this, so I realize how silly this is now, but I'm almost 61 years old. So to me, it is silly, but I completely understand it, because your streaks are going to be a lot better than mine was. So I understand that it's not very easy. And especially if you're a young, high testosterone person like a lot of us are, it's very difficult to control that at night, especially when you're not conscious. But what you can do is start putting into your long-term memory all these goals and replace all these pictures with other things. And that's going to help you then in your battle. And I think as time goes on, Issachar, you'll see that you'll get less and less of these type of dreams. Because most of the time what's happening it's kind of reflecting a door that's opening to these things you're letting in. And obviously I think that the evil one is a big part of this in creating the door and opening the door. Because they want you to see these things, and you want these to kind of focus on this. And unless you're actually having children, you're basically kind of wasting that energy away. And this is really, really important when it comes to when your head is about ready to hit the pillow. Because what you really want to do is kind of change your whole lifestyle. You want to go to bed thinking tomorrow's a great day because I'm going to achieve more goals. Not because I'm going to look at more women or I'm going to look at more pictures or things like that. There was a time where I lived to do that. And that was the most silliest thing I could ever think of in the world. Because it not only made me totally drained out and highly anxiety filled and just useless, but it also served no purpose. And I think when you're in that kind of category, you're really kind of hitting the bottom of the barrel. And a lot of people are like that. This is why I think a lot of people are doing drugs, pills, medicine, drinking, a lot of things to get away from the problems they're creating themselves. And so now they try to get away from those problems by having a drink, leads to more drinks, and all of a sudden now you're using this as a coping mechanism. And you do the same thing with drugs and marijuana and all these other kind of things. So this is the whole thing when you're talking about this idea of sleeping well. You want to create this pattern where all you're thinking about is positive things and moving forward. You're not thinking about things that are going to get you aroused or excited. You're thinking about things that are going to get you your next goal. Being positive. So don't go back to that setting of, well, I'm going to go back and look at these pictures before I go to bed. That's going to be a problem. Because now you start thinking in those terms. Once again, whenever you start having those types of ideas, not anxiety, but excitement, take some deep breaths and kind of try to transmute that energy upwards so that you're using it for positive type of things. All right, my friends. Well, this is May 3rd, Tuesday. Hope you guys have a great day today and enjoy the weather, good or bad. Enjoy your success, your retention, and your eventual victory and triumph over the evil one. Until next time, guys, battle on. God bless each and every one of you, and we'll see you guys next time. God bless you. Battle on.